Okay. Welcome back. This is another episode of NFC East Beef. As you guys know, I've been a guest on the show a couple of times, but Jeff has asked me to come on full time as an official member. So, thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to talk the Super Bowl with a couple of my guys, some Philly faithfuls. So this episode is just going to be a Super Bowl preview, us talking about the game and kind of score predictions, key matchups, and all that. So I'm joined today by a couple of co-hosts. We got Darren and Zach on. So, without further ado, Darren, I'll jump to you. But how you feeling, man? How are we feeling about this game?
I'm feeling good. It's like I was telling you before we hopped on the pod, man. I have a little bit less anxiety than I did going into that championship game. It's like the stakes to just get to the big dance are so high. And once you get there, there's like a sense of relief. But the closer and closer we get to game time, man, it's like this team is just the Chiefs. They're just unbelievable. I mean, they've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. So it's something you can't take lightly. So I have a healthy amount of anxiety. But we got to get this revenge game. I mean, you haven't seen many quarterbacks do this, right? Like it's been since Jim Kelly, since somebody's lost and gone back. So crazy that we're here 2 years later. But I'm definitely pretty confident. But gotta have a healthy amount of respect for those Chiefs.
Right on. Zach, what you thinking, man?
Man, kind of similar to Darren. I definitely would say, going into the championship weekend, I was definitely a little bit nervous with how hot Washington was. Way we were kind of sitting, where our offense has been and had some struggles throughout the year outside of Saquon Barkley. But I feel more positive than I felt going into the last Super Bowl, which is kind of crazy to say. But, I mean, it's really that defense. That defense keeps me propped up, keeps me confident. And I understand Mahomes is the X factor, but I just truly feel like when you watch the tape, it's just everything just flows so well with what Vic's doing back there and those guys. So I'm thinking a big day from the defense. I'm feeling it. So keep riding on that one out for sure. But feeling good, getting that done today.
That's definitely Jalen. Something I want to get into is the key differences between the defenses. We'll get into that later, but that's definitely an X factor.
Yeah, no, and I was going to ask, y'all both kind of brought up having more confidence this time around, and I'm with you. I feel like. And it's hard for me to remember just how I felt before that game, that Super Bowl 57. But this time, it's completely different. I mean, obviously, we got Saquon now versus Miles Sanders. And this defense is playing at a way different level than they were 2 years ago. And I think when you look at, the previous teams who have won Super Bowls, I mean, having a good defense and a good run game are kind of two of the, kind of important factors to have. So I guess, outside of that, I mean, where do you feel like is going to be kind of the difference makers on the defense? Do you think it's going to be more in the secondary, more in the D-line? What are we thinking there?
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think the biggest difference between 2022 and this year's defense is 2022 is very boom or bust, right? They generated a lot of sacks, but if they weren't getting sacks, they were kind of getting shredded by better quarterbacks, if you remember. I mean, they certainly did in the Super Bowl second half against Mahomes. But whereas this defense – although they might not have the same numbers until recently with the turnovers, of course, but they weren't generating a ton of sacks early on. It's not like an unbelievable defensive line. They're super, super stout, right? They don't allow a lot of points. They just they feel very almost kind of like a Jets defense is. You don't think of them as a super flashy defense, but they get off the field, right? They get off the field on third down. How many times 2 years ago were we screaming oh my God, every third and long, it feels like this team can't get off the field or they're getting sacks, right? So it's very boomer bust. They're a lot younger, right? You have Jalen Carter now. You were dealing with halfway through the season, Linval Joseph, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox was in his 30s, right? So this defense, they're just a lot younger, a lot fresher. And I just think overall, I like this defense a lot better than the 2022 one. It feels more sustainable,
Oh yeah. And I think what you said about I kind of forgot about Linval Joseph, man. Yeah. When I'm looking at the comparison, I think Zach, you shared it in our group text. It was the D line comparison 2 years ago versus what it is now. We had Linval Joseph, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox, all in their 30s, and I'm like, man, this defense got younger, faster, and very quickly this change happened. So I know we don't have Hassan Reddick, anymore, but I think Nolan Smith, man, who the fuck? This guy came out of nowhere.
This guy played the third preseason game, alluding to he'd just be a backup, and now he's a star. That just doesn't happen. The draft picks, the first and second round, they have really nailed it the last couple of years. And that's something we used to get on them all the time. We used to ride them about those early draft picks. And it's just been incredible. Like, wow.
No, dude, but yeah, it's like when I'm looking at kind of what's changed, especially, I was in our Instagram text, there was this video shown, I think it was against the Falcons, that game we lost week 2. Bijan Robinson like clips Nolan Smith and he just like, pancakes him, and we're just roasting Nolan Smith in the group chat, and they're like, man, like that's not good to see. And then now here we are months later, we're like, man, Nolan Smith might be the guy to kind of make some game-changing plays in this Super Bowl. Yeah. So I think it's like a testament to, we talked about the Eagles drafting, and like you said, we used to get on them for that, and now here they are making, it seems like home run hit after home run hit, draft after draft. But we also have to talk about the coaching. We talk about the development of Nolan Smith over the year, Mekhi Becton going from, tackle to guard, Cam Jurgens coming in, filling in for Kelsey and not really missing a beat. I know there's been some struggles on the interior O-line there, but I also want to just shout out the development of some of these players that, we got in the draft, and then now like they're starting to come on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I mean, can never say enough about Jeff Stoutland on that O-line, right? Like that's crazy.
No, you cannot.
Mekhi Becton is not really that good with the Jets, if I recall, like from what I recall. So it's like, wow. I knew the name, but he has really stepped in. Like you said, playing a different position, it's not easy usually to translate like that. And he's done a really good job.
Dude.
I feel like where the coaching has really changed is exactly what you said. Is I feel like we weren't developing players, a few years back. We were drafting a lot of people. They would go to another team and then they'd be a standout elsewhere. I'm thinking like Rasul Douglas, a few of these other players where it's like they were fringe starters on our banged up Eagles and they go somewhere else and they haven't stopped starting since then. It's kind of crazy if you look through how many people started with us and went out elsewhere. And it's like, I don't know what's changed. I don't know everything in the middle that's changed, but it's definitely changed where I feel like the young talent we have is actually developing, especially at a lot faster rate. And I don't know if it's just because we finally started drafting, the Georgia Bulldogs, or finally, getting more into conferences that are tried and true and teams that are tried and true. Because I know a few years, Darren, I know this was one of your biggest points, is we were missing out on all the SEC and Big Ten players, and we're going for
forever to draft Alabama, Georgia. It's nuts.
The Pac-12 players, and it was just every year.
The Pac-12 has turned around recently, but yeah, oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was like just like do the high percentage thing and draft from these schools, right? Oh man, so funny, so true.
No, but I mean, on top of that, so let me ask y'all, like, what do you think some of the key matchups are going to be in this game, right? Like, obviously, we know the defense has played, lights out. Do we think they're still able to do that against the Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes-led Kansas City offense? Or do we think they kind of struggle to contain some of those guys?
Yeah, I think the big thing, it comes down to Travis Kelce, right? It's like, who are you going to put on? I've been thinking about this too. It's like, he is so good and effective at just like finding holes in the zone. I often wonder, like, will they put a corner on him? Like, will DeJean follow him? Will Oren Burks be following him? So that is by far the biggest matchup. I mean, they have Xavier Worthy, even Juju Smith-Schuster kind of shredded us last Super Bowl. I don't really foresee that this time. I think it's going to be straight down the middle. Like, if you can contain Kelce, like, he can't be going off for like 16 catches, $150. You know what I mean? Like, if you can contain him, I think you can contain this offense. They also ran the ball really hard with Pacheco. Let's not forget. I feel like the Eagles defense, because we play with a lead a lot, their run defense maybe not as tested. I think maybe the Chiefs will try to establish that. A lot of times we've been in position where we're able to kind of pin our ears back. I mean, we've been in close games, of course, but you know what I mean. So I think, that running game, and then at Travis Kelce. I mean, I know that's simple, but it's just the guy is a game wrecker. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do.
To piggyback off that point, I agree. I've been thinking a lot about who's going to be on Kelce. I kind of went back like you. Are we going to put the slot? Are we going to put the Gene on him? Are we going to put CJ on him? Is Bond going to cover him sometimes? Like, what's that going to look like? Are we doubling him? But like that, I'd definitely say that's probably one of the more big marquee matchups I'm more worried about, more because size differential than anything. Yeah. But some of the other ones I want to say that probably shouldn't be slept on, and it's more because our team DB-wise is not experienced, I think could be interesting, is DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. I mean, he's someone we'll probably forget about, but this is his first Super Bowl. He's going here. You obviously, if he has one game left to put it all on the line, it could be that. And how does he line up against someone like Q, who has had an outstanding season, but he's got wisdom and years on Q, and that's some of the things that I'm worried about. Is who's like the unsung hero for the Chiefs? No different than when we won the Super Bowl and Corey Clement was in there and doing his thing. Is that regardless of either side, we'll have an unsung hero, or they will too. And I'm just kind of wondering who's it going to be, because I mean, obviously, it could always default to Mahomes or Kelsey, but I feel like it's going to be someone we're not thinking about right this year.
They last Super Bowl's Kadarius Toney. Like, are you kidding me? He killed us. Like,
yeah. And that's a good point, Zach. And I actually asked my friend who's a Chiefs fan. I was like, hey, like, who do you think outside of the obvious is going to be a difference maker? And he said Noah Gray. He was like, I think Noah Gray is more talented than maybe the broadcast give him credit for. And if a team's more focused on stopping Kelsey, more focused on stopping the run game, we might lose sight of somebody like a Noah Gray. So I thought that was interesting, because obviously Noah Gray wasn't on my radar. I don't know if he was on either of y'all's, but I think it'll be an interesting matchup between some of the DBs. And, I feel good about, I forget who it was, but somebody was talking about the Chiefs run a lot of 2 tight end sets.
I was just going to say that.
Which would mean the Eagles don't come out in their nickel defense, right? And so that means DeJean's off the field. So it's like, do the Eagles kind of keep DeJean on the field because of how good he is, or do we kind of match what the Chiefs are showing from an offensive perspective and kind of, I don't know, try to bulk up against these bigger personnel? But I think personally, I mean, DeJean's been lights out. I think you got to leave him on the field. I don't know who the unsung hero is going to be on the Eagles. I mean, Oren Burks, man, this guy's coming in and took over for Nakobe Dean. And honestly, like, he had a rough game when he stepped in for him in Green Bay, but I feel like he's kind of played well since then.
He really has.
He
really has. He's impressed me, honestly.
Also, hey, how about Jalix Hunt, huh?
Oh,
that guy.
Another guy.
Seriously.
What is that? He was the guy out of Houston Christian, right?
Played safety. Yeah. Like, this isn't somebody who's been on the D line like his entire career.
That's crazy. Like, the production they're getting out of some of these cats, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But the Noah Gray thing, absolutely. That's a really good call. He had a stretch there in the middle of the season where he was getting like a couple touchdowns a game. That's like a really good call out by your friend there.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what that looks like, because they do run a lot of 2 tight end personnel. So.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, they got something. Steve Spagnuolo is always a concern, right? Super Bowl is a guy just knows how to dial it up, almost like a better version of a Todd Bowles who's given us.
Man.
I mean, Jalen played arguably his best game other than that turnover ever in that Super Bowl. So we know we can handle it, but wow.
Yeah. Listen, I'll say this. I mean, like, we know what Spags is, and like, I think that final play in the AFC Championship was like a key testament. Just like, he's going to dial up some exotic blitzes. And if you don't have an answer for it, like, it can be the game changer. So I know in the past, the Eagles have had, some issues with letting free rushers come through, especially in that Rams game. There were some miscommunication issues with the interior O-line, which kind of resulted in that safety, in addition to Jalen holding on to the ball too long. But I will say, like, in terms of, and I'll ask you guys what your concerns are, but Spagnuolo is definitely a concern for me. I feel like he's just such a good defensive coordinator that, he's going to dial up some stuff they haven't seen before and get them into some 3rd and long situations, force Jalen to throw the ball. They just play coverage, and then, it's a wrap from there.
He's got to have an answer for the blitz. He's been a little bit better against the blitz, but got to have an answer for that. So crazy to think Steve Spagnuolo was once on the Philly staff as well. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And we always talk about, which hopefully we finally have, like, it's crazy that Spagnuolo, as good as he is, has just stayed with the Chiefs as the defensive coordinator. Like, they have so much stability there. He's so good. He's not out looking for a head coach position. I feel like we may finally have that with Vic Fangio, but it's just crazy. Like, the continuity they have, obviously he's been there for years.
Yeah.
He always a threat. One of the best DCs in the game. You can't put DCs in the Hall of Fame, but if you could, like, Spagnuolo would deserve it.
He would have to be in the conversation. He would have to.
Crazy. Like, so all good points.
But Zach, who are you concerned with? Or are you kind of like on the same page as me and Darren in terms of Spagnuolo or somebody from the defensive side?
I would definitely say Spagnuolo. I think another thing that you have to always stay worried about with the Chiefs defense is Chris Jones.
Yep.
I mean, he's just an animal, and I know he's old, but it doesn't seem like that clock ever ticks in big moments. It seems like he's always the same guy at Mississippi State that's still just as good. So I think I feel comfortable because I think Stoutland is the best O-line coach in the game, and I think we have the benefit of having already such a great O-line that even if we make little mistakes, we have a mobile enough quarterback to get away from some of those. But I just don't hope it's not a situation where we allow, a couple, mishaps get in our head and then it results in like a bigger kind of situation. Kind of like in the last Super Bowl where Jalen had that turnover or something, like just big key things. We got to minimize those big time mistakes. We can make little ones, but any big mistakes like that, we cannot put the ball on the ground. We cannot put the ball in their hands because those are just mistakes you can't make versus Patrick Mahomes. I know our defense will get our back, but the kind of like you said, Spags is probably the wild card for me, and their defense looks good. I still think our defense is better, but I think if it comes down to the coaching head-to-head thing, I'll lean towards the Chiefs. The Chiefs on that note.
I mean, they've earned that, right? It's 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls, so it's like until they get dethroned, you always have to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the coaching edge, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And our offensive coordinator was taking interviews all week, so.
He's out the door. Stuff like in the location of the Super Bowl, same thing.
I'm just like, come on. So it's like I know Spags isn't, so he's ready. I don't know. That's the only one.
I don't love Kellen Moore, but I don't. That is not good. I want you to be focused. Gannon, I couldn't get Gannon out here. You guys know I hated Gannon, but that was so bad.
Yeah,
was so bad.
Come a long way since then, though.
We have, and speaking of that, right? So I wanted to kind of touch on. I've seen that stat about Fangio being 0-8 against Mahomes, and so obviously you guys can guess. I think that's overblown and context matters. But I mean, what do y'all make of that stat? I know that I looked it up, and I think his offenses in those games were averaging like 11.9 points.
Oh yeah.
So, but
he was on bad teams. He was a coach of a bad Broncos team. Exactly. I mean, the Chiefs, for what it's worth, like. Chiefs Pat Mahomes is probably pretty undefeated against most people, most coordinators. I mean, they barely lose. So, I think it is an inflated stat for sure. That doesn't freak me out the way simply going against Mahomes and Andy Reid does, just like point blank, not necessarily because of like the stat. But yeah, I know they've made a big thing like with the refs this game. I never really want to get too into that. But that was really blown up this week too. The ref.
Yeah, it was. And like I'm with you. I don't want to get into it. And here's what the only thing I'll say about it. I will have concerns if, game on the line, Chiefs have the ball. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we know they're so good in that situation, but it's also because we haven't seen like when a referee throws a flag in those situations, they're almost always leaning towards the Chiefs' favor, right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we haven't seen the Chiefs kind of get screwed by a 50-50 call in that part of the game. So that's what concerns me about it. But
I think it's just the status of Mahomes, like kind of like the Michael Jordan thing, like just kind of always getting those calls. I did want to ask you guys before I forget, because it's sort of on the same line with that. There was a question going around WIP all week with 2 minutes, 7 seconds left. I think it was. Would you rather be down 4 with Hurts on the field to drive, or would you rather be up 4 and your defense has to get Mahomes off the field? That's a good one, right?
That is a good one.
I mean, it's been our defense all year that is by far the most trustworthy, but at the same time, there's been a few instances, think like the Jaguars, if Nakobe Dean doesn't intercept the pass, you might lose that. Obviously, the Falcons game.
Carolina game. That's dropped. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, I have seen them be a little dicey. I think it would be because I hate when they get overly soft.
That Washington game, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jaden.
It's like we got the data to show that the defense sometimes has some holes in there.
And obviously, Mahomes is a magician, so it's like I trust the defense as a whole more. But it's like, oh my gosh, it makes it such a golden question because of who you're facing.
I'm putting the ball in Hurts' hands in this situation. To be honest, I'm not as scared of the Chiefs defense as I am of Mahomes with that much time left.
Yeah, the anxiety would be.
I don't care how good our team is. It's just
the divisional round a couple weeks ago. I was shitting my pants.
Yeah, no, that's what Stafford does as well. I'm like,
And just like that, right down the field because they got too soft. And I'm like, oh my God, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna pull within 6. We're gonna go 3 and out. They're gonna get the ball and then sweat it out. I'm like, why am I sweating out a game that was a 13-point game?
It was like
with 4 minutes left.
Saquon busts that run, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, that's a game. And then, like you said, so quick, things change. And I'm like, how are we in this position where they're driving the field, getting completion after completion, and just made it look so easy? And I think after that game, we were kind of talking like, why is it so easy for like teams like the Rams to just feel like they always have zone beaters? They'll just have a guy run 5 yards and sit down somewhere, and it's just like an easy outlet for Stafford. Whereas it feels like the Eagles' offense doesn't have those options for Hurts.
Correct.
It's a lot more, screens or AJ run this slant, AJ run this go. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of long developing stuff.
Yeah. Like, I wish we had some quicker. And don't get me wrong, like the NFC Championship game gave me a lot more confidence in the passing game. In kind of how they were able to distribute the ball. Look, running some jet motions with Goddard and Smitty. I'm like, okay, this is good to see. So got a little more creative in those, in that game. But I'm with you. I think in that situation, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts on the field. One, because we've seen him do it in the last Super Bowl, where y'all are down 8. We need you to go down and score and get the 2-point conversion, and he did just that. And he leaves the field with, I think, 5 minutes left and then doesn't see the field again. So I think I'm way more scared of Mahomes and, that Chiefs offense than I am of their defense in that situation.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair. And I mean, at that point, it comes down to the Spagnuolo thing. But yeah, if you can get, have some good man beaters or those quick outlets, like you say, every other team has. Like if you just have those to kind of alleviate some of the pressure, that'd be awesome. And who knows what we'll see today? I mean, I'm sure they'll bring out some stuff that we haven't seen all year. Spagnuolo will, right? So
one thing that concerns me, or not concerns me, but one thing that I feel like they have to kind of stop. Obviously stop Kelsey, but I think one thing that really killed them last game was Mahomes using his legs, and I feel like if their pass lane or their pass rush lane's integrity get compromised and they're not sound, he's just going to step up and, gash him for 10 yards here, 15 yards here. And I think that's a very underrated element of his game is him using his legs. And he doesn't do it often, but I feel like he always does it when he needs to. And it's like beneficial. So
playoff,
I think
great pocket mobility.
Yeah. That's something they're going to have to kind of get ahead of. And I'm sure Fangio's talking about that, in the pregame prep. But speaking of that, one thing that is going to drive me crazy is if the Chiefs score on that fake jet motion that they scored on the Eagles twice in Super Bowl 57. Then they won the game in overtime against the Niners last year with it. So it's like, if Fangio is not keyed in on that fake jet motion, I will lose it.
Yeah, that they did it. They beat him with Tony, I think, and Sky Moore. Crazy.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that fake like jet or orbit, whatever you call that. Yeah, that was just they were wide open.
Yeah. But no, okay. So let me ask y'all this. I mean, we've been at it for almost 30 minutes. What are some bold predictions we have? Not the Eagles plus 1.5 or the over under, but what are some bold predictions for how this game plays out? Maybe some things that might be considered hot takes.
Okay, so not necessarily just a score, more or less like Mahomes throws 2 picks.
Anything that comes to mind.
Right.
Well, I got one.
Go ahead.
All right, it's Saquon and DeJean's birthday. They're both getting touchdowns tonight.
Oh,
I like that one. I
don't know how DeJean will get it. I don't know if it's a punt recovery, pick six,
I'm thinking
punt return. Either way, get him off punt return, but I hope it's one of the others. But something. I'm calling it the birthday boys touchdowns. Obviously, Saquon makes more sense, but I'm feeling it.
We're feeling. I think I was looking. Correct me if I might have to Google this one. I was looking at some of the over unders for the betting props. First of all, speaking of DeAndre Hopkins earlier, I think he's over under 11.5 yards, which is absurd. I have to double check that. That's what I heard. And I think Jalen Hurts, there's a pretty good prop on 2 touchdowns or more. I think that's one of the
think I
safest
saw that
bets. He'll
prop as
definitely
well.
throw one run.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, that's crazy. Like, I might have to hop on DraftKings. I can here in Texas, but yeah, I could see. I think so. Mahomes. Both these teams have been really, really, really good in the postseason about not turning the ball over. I think Mahomes throws an interception today. Like, most definitely. Like, we're gonna get that turnover. You know, it's gonna be one of those situations where we erupt. Hopefully, in a huge moment, gets us off the field on third down. But I think Mahomes is going to turn the ball over today, and he is. I don't know if he's done it all postseason. Maybe once.
I don't think he has
I
either.
don't know.
Neither. I don't think Jalen or Mahomes have not turned it over all postseason, but that changes today.
I think that's right. I think you're right.
I don't think they turned the ball over last year, but we had the one that was ended up being a dagger.
That was so tough, dude.
So bad because he played so well outside of that. I don't think Mahomes turned the ball over, though. He had a broken ankle, and he's out there scrambling for 15, 20 yards.
I don't think he turned it over. We might have got like one fumble off a running back.
I know that's like so if you like that, that's going to be one of my bold predictions because he hasn't done it, and he does it today.
Mahomes
gets the pick.
About forcing turnovers.
Who gets the pick, Darren?
How about so maybe I'll go Cooper DeJean. Let me go Cooper DeJean on this.
I like it.
Okay. A little stack in the bowl predictions. Cooper
exactly, yeah. Like piggybacking over the birthday boy.
Okay. No, I like that. You know what's funny about that is, and this is just how dialed in I was this week. I was watching, I don't know if y'all seen those Madden sims. So it was like the Madden simulation of Super Bowl 59. And I was like, I watched the sped up version, but they were 15-minute quarters. And it's like the Chiefs are down like, I think 3 or 4. And it's, typical situation. They're in the late fourth quarter. They're driving. They're in the red zone. Quinyon Mitchell gets a pick 6. It was like a 90-yard pick 6. And I thought to myself, if that happened in real life, like my soul would leave my body. I would love nothing more than Quinyon to get a pick on Mahomes and run that shit back for a touchdown.
Oh, just seal it, because
to seal it right in that situation. So I won't take that as my bold prediction. My bold prediction is going to be, I think Birds win this by 2 touchdowns. Or not 2 touchdowns, but a 2-score game. I think they win by 10.
That was going to be my next question, because the Chiefs are 17-0 in 1-score games. That was going to be my next question. Do you think it's going to be a 1-score game, or are they? I think if anybody has a chance of quote blowing the other one out, I think the Eagles are definitely more primed to do so. I don't think the Chiefs are going to blow us out. I definitely don't think that, regardless of whether they win or not. I have it a 3-4 point game, kind of boring, I know. Kind of like a 27-24. I think if you score 27 points, you can win this game. Like the Chiefs have averaged, I want to say like it's 22, 23 points a game.
Yeah.
Other than in fact, the Bills was the first time I think they scored 30 all year. It's like they only did it when they had to.
First time they scored over 30 points. Yeah.
Crazy, right? So with that being said, I think if you score 27, I think you can win this game. And God, how good would it feel to join the club of having multiple Super Bowl rings? Like 3 appearances in the last 7 years, 8 years.
With a different quarterback, with a different head coach,
whole different regime, right?
You know what I'm saying? That would feel good.
Like that would be
on that note, if we win the Super Bowl, dude, this has to be one of the youngest teams to ever win the Super Bowl in history.
Because what's the average age?
I remember I just saw it the other day. I want to say it was like, I swear it was like 25, 26.
I think you're right for the Eagles.
25.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to say it has to be one of the youngest Super Bowl teams of all time.
Yeah, because last year we went over it like it's crazy how different it was. You had Javon Hargrave. I guess he wasn't that old, but Reddick was probably close to 30. Obviously, Linville, Ndamukong Suh, Brandon Graham, who might be back today, much older. Now it's like you got Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, who I guess we didn't talk a whole lot about today, but he's made some plays in the postseason. He had a pretty good tackle for loss.
That big sack, dude.
Big sack. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So they're so much younger. I feel like they're a lot fresher. The linebackers. We had TJ Edwards that year. Now it's like Zach Bond's kind of like the better TJ Edwards this year. So I think like as you go down the list and compare position to position, CJ, GJ, that's the same. Darius Smith, he's a couple years older. But I just think we really are just like upgraded pretty much across the board on the entire defense, whether it be age, production, or both. Even though you don't have the gaudy sack numbers. Oh yeah, what's this?
There we go.
Yeah, oh, cool. Yeah. There you go. Marcus Epps. I like Marcus Epps. I miss him.
Me too. I just can't even stand seeing Avonte Maddox on that. Dude, Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Epps was a hard hitter. I
Epps played hard. Epps played hard for sure. But I'm looking at that D line and I'm like, I mean, Fletcher Cox, like, he was so solid for so long, but I think in that postseason he only had like 1 sack maybe against the Giants in the divisional
His
round.
motor went out, man. I think he was just getting older.
Like he just wasn't the same player. And I know like some stuff doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but when we're looking at this team versus this one, it's like okay, it's a lot more exciting. I feel like and imagine that's Nakobe Dean instead of Oren Burks. Like
I was just about to say that. And how about like we were pegging him as a potential bust not too long ago too. It's like these guys have just flourished. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at that. Yeah, I can't say enough honestly about the job Oren Burks has done filling in. Like you said, he struggled for sure when he originally took over for Nakobe, but then he's really played well. Like I feel like he's just been in position. He's made some key tackles. Like you're not seeing him like get roasted for the most part.
He had that huge sack versus Jaden Daniels too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, how about that? God, who saw that coming? 55 points in the championship. We've really been able to just relax during the NFC championship.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
We either lose in the wild card round or we smoke it in the championship game. There's like no in between with this team.
There's none.
I don't think we've lost in the divisional round since like, oh my God, like 2000 and the Saints, 2018, I guess.
Yeah.
2018. Prior to that,
Alshon drop.
The Saints again. Yeah, the Alshon drop because came out red hot in that game just to fall apart. But it's nuts. I mean, the team really they just either get eliminated in the wild card round or they go all the way lately.
Yeah. But no, man, I'm excited, y'all. I think it'll be a good game, and listen, I want to win. I want to win so bad, but at the same time, we've talked about it. I think we're very fortunate in when you compare it to the Chiefs, it looks like a lot different, but we're very fortunate to see our team back in this game 2 years later, and have an opportunity to kind of cement themselves as one of the greatest, kind of teams that's been put together, at least on paper anyway. So I think they have an opportunity. I think that the team knows it based on what the interviews I've seen, how the players have kind of been carrying themselves. It seems like everybody's dialed in. So I think we'll see a good game. Hopefully it's just a mistake-free game. Like losing will be tough, but losing on some mistakes, like some fumbles or interceptions or miscommunications that lead to sacks, would just be kind of a heartbreaker.
Definitely.
But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, like 2 years ago, to your point, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, listen, if you lose to this team, they're a dynasty. It's going to hurt no matter what, but you can kind of respect that. The same could be said this year, but it's just like, looking back at how good this team was, how good 2022 was, if you come out of this era with no Super Bowls, that's just going to sting. Like, I mean, I'll forever be grateful, like 3 and 8 years, 3 and 7 years, one victory, of course, but like, God, if you could get this revenge game, like get this rematch, like it would just be so fulfilling. Like I can't even explain how fulfilling it would be, because I was heartbroken when they lost last 2 years ago. Oof. Even though I kind of like, you could live with it because it's the Chiefs, but it was heartbreaking. So like to get all the way back and lose again, like I feel like we just can't lose this one. It's like I'm not very superstitious, but if I was, like I can't, like I'll never come out and say like I'm picking the Birds to win. I just won't do that. But like to your point, Jalen, man, a lot more confident. I mean, we were confident in 2022. We knew how good that team was. But I feel like just having been there before, of course the Chiefs have a bunch, but like having been there before, just how dialed in everybody seems, like just uber focused. They just really are. I know it's like so cliche, but just like totally playing together. The continuity that I see, that I hear through the radio, all that stuff is just, it's really something special. So it'd be painful to look back on this era and not get one of these. Because I remember 2 years ago thinking, wow, we'll probably see this team again. Probably not next year, because the Super Bowl loser always takes a step back. Maybe we'll see him in 2 years, and damn, we're here. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, what a call. What a prediction.
It's like, I don't know if I believed it back then, but I was like, wow, there's no way we get back next year, meaning 2023, because that just doesn't happen. I mean, you just don't. I mean, look at the Niners this year. Super Bowl loser always takes a major step back. We had that epic collapse. Mm-hmm. So like I was like, wow, imagine if we see them again. As bad as I wanted to kind of see the Bills, in a way, like if you were to beat them and then you knock off like Reed and Mahomes and then you beat Brady and Belichick after losing to them in your first matchup. Like, that's kind of crazy if your 2 Super Bowls are against the 2 best
some dynasties, you know what I'm saying? Like
of all time, like 1
yeah.
and 2.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that would be special.
that
like,
would
you know?
Be huge.
And they're right there, man. They're right there.
Oh my gosh, you gotta get it. Like,
they could do it, man. They will do it. I'm confident enough to say
they gotta do it.
I think so too.
Like I said, I'll be crying no matter what. Hopefully, tears of joy.
Hell yeah. Well, shoot, guys. I mean, so let's end on this. You know, we talked about bold predictions, but what's one highlight from the season that is your favorite that comes to mind?
Oh my gosh, which one of Saquon Barkley's home run hits? I guess.
You know, I think the easy one is the backwards hurdle against the Jags.
Yeah, I know.
That too.
I was gonna say season or postseason, because postseason, it definitely has to be the snow game of him just smacking his helmet, running down what we thought was the game-sealing touchdown at the time. I mean, I've just never seen a running back do what he's done. So I feel like it would have to be one of the Saquon high. That would be my postseason favorite. I would say from the season, probably would have to go with Saquon again, because like I said, early on, we weren't forcing like a whole lot of crazy turnovers or anything on defense. And Jalen, I mean, he had a rather pedestrian year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it would have to be another one of the probably the Rams, especially because I had him in fantasy against the Rams again when he went off for 255.
Oh yeah, dude!
Like the bad runs. I mean, like I would say it would have to be that. I'm kind of like grouping that.
Broke the franchise rushing record.
Yeah. Oh,
that was
yes,
a big game. Yeah.
It's hard to not pick Saquon in that. I would say the other big moment that sticks out to me, but I can't stop thinking of, is really, I think it's in postseason too, in that Rams game, is that Jalen Carter sack.
Oh man,
to call it. I mean, it's just, I mean, when you watch it and then you just see him stuff Stafford like that, I was like, because it's hard, because I wanted to say Jalen Carter. I feel like that was obvious. I wanted to say Saquon as well, but then I don't know. There's something that always tells me is just, because I'm obsessed with this dude, is Nolan Smith getting a sack a game, basically this whole postseason, sometimes 2.
Yeah.
And it's just been a wrecker on the outside. And then even, what game was that? Was it the Rams one where he gave the dude the stinger right out the gate?
Oh, yeah.
When was that? Was it?
He like jammed them inside. Yeah, I think it was the Rams.
It was the Rams
game, yeah.
And just like
Packers. It was the Packers, right?
Packers, you're right. It was the Packers. It was the Packers game. It was Elton Jenkins. But even just like, I don't know, just I feel like everyone's just balling, and I think it's all based off a mixture of Jalen Carter and Bond. I think they bring something to this core, and Q as well as Slay, like, and CJ, It's just like the whole team is just mean.
They got a fire to him. They got a fire to him, and I feel like you said about Fletcher Cox a couple years ago. You're like, yeah, his motor's gone. When you look at this team, like, there's a lot of guys with high motors on the team. Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cooper DeJean flying to the ball. Like, they got some guys that are going to, get after it. And the whole defense as a whole, like, whenever the ball gets out, they're all flying to the ball. You can see it. And so I think Fangio's got these guys dialed in. I think one of my favorite – I won't say it's my favorite just because kind of the situation it was in, but one of like the season defining plays was Dallas Goedert against the Saints that, where we got to have it. And it's like 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15. And he rips off like that 60-yarder off that drag route. I was like, man, that they lose that Saints game. Who knows how the ball unravels? You know what I'm saying? Like that might've been, a season defining play.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think postseason got to be that Jalen Carter sack, just because of the situation. And I'm like, somebody make a play. I'm standing up in my living room.
Oh my god,
somebody make a play.
That was the most anxious I've been watching an Eagles game since 2017 against the Falcons in the divisional round.
Oh my god,
with the Julio Jones last fourth down.
And isn't it so crazy?
That's how anxious I was sick. Like I couldn't even eat for a minute. I was anxious as hell. Everyone's texting me. I'm sweating. I'm at my fiance's place down in Naples, like her parents, and they're just like, dude, this guy's probably a maniac. And I was just like dying, That was crazy. When they got that sack, I was going nuts. Like, to your guys' point, wow.
You look at that divisional game against the Falcons, hard fought game, came down to the wire, stressful ending. And then the NFC Championship, they blow out the Vikings.
Yeah, pretty sloppy. Like, it didn't inspire a lot of confidence, right?
And then this year, divisional round comes down to the end, very stressful. NFC Championship, they blow out the team. So
and the Rams, what was so disappointing, if we would have lost to the Rams, like, it was just, there were so many blown opportunities. Like, if AJ Brown catches the ball at the 1 yard line, the Goddard screen that got called back by a flag, then at the 1 yard line, tush push gets called back from a flag. There was just so many instances where the game should have been put away. But I could not believe I was sitting there up 6, sweating bullets, thinking, oh my God, they're going to find a way to lose this game. Like, how? So, like, yeah, that moment when he gets that sack, because, like, that was just another level of anxiety, like, just sweating, just crazy. We haven't had to feel that. It's really been, like you said, you either know you're not in it. Like, when we got smashed by the Bucs last year, 2021, it's like, you're not even in it. You're like, dude, you knew they were going to get boat raced. Like, this isn't even fun. But, like, this game, like, you have all the expectations, and it's a nail biter. Like, we haven't really felt that. Or, to your point, like the championship games, it's a total blowout.
Yeah.
So it's rare that we feel like that. And I was dying.
But now, guys, listen, I mean, that's all I got, man. I think at this point, I'm ready. I'm ready to see this game. I'm ready to hopefully I'm a football fan, but if the Eagles want to get out the gates hot and go up, I don't know, 2-3 scores, I'm okay with that. I'm not looking to see
you're like, I don't need to split this.
I'm looking to see a Birds win. So,
oh my God.
But no, I mean, I appreciate y'all boys jumping on, man.
Thanks for having us.
Go Birds as always.
I would love to do a post game pod if
if
we get the result. You
better believe we're doing a post game pod.
Oh my God, so great. I'll just leave you guys with this. Like, who would have thought when this football team was 2-2 that we would be sitting here in the Super Bowl? Because, like, they were not inspiring confidence. Like, people talking about Nick Sirianni's job, they were just sloppy. Like, even at 4-2, like, I wasn't all that confident.
It feels like look, the fans weren't giving them respect for a little bit. Even when they started winning games, media wasn't giving them respect. So, like you said, it's been a long season, but what a turnaround.
Yeah. Oh my God. What was it, 10-game win streak we had? Just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since that video of Sirianni and Miniman playing in the background, dude, it's
Baldiani.
It's since then, man, we've been lights out. So
yeah.
No kidding, whatever they're doing. No kidding, guys. I can't believe it. 6 more hours. We'll definitely touch base throughout the game, obviously.
Always. And hopefully, like, next week, or not even next week, but maybe tomorrow or something, we're doing a post-game pod and we're all celebrating, drinking champagne.
I took off tomorrow for work. Like, oh yeah. I've always wanted to do that. And now that I look at myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking off. Like, what the hell?
I didn't either. We win. I'm calling in. I'll tell you that.
No matter what, I'm just gonna either want to be relishing in excitement or I'll be depressed for Well, I guess the draft.
I'll be working from home tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that'll be
anyway.
Oh my gosh.
But all right, my boys. Hey,
6 hours, baby.
I appreciate y'all, man. Hey, go Birds. Right. Go Birds.
NFC champs. We're coming for it.
All right. Hey, this has been another episode of NFC Eats Beast, the special Super Bowl preview. And, like I said many times, go Birds, baby.
Go Birds. Peace out, y'all.